Dogumentary TV, producing the best breed documentaries on YouTube.
I'm Kyle from Rocky Acres Boerboels, and I've had Boerboels since 2002. I've had numerous ones over the years, breed occasionally, and they are my pets, my ranch guardians, my show dogs, my obedience competitors, and some of them are really good for snuggling. But most of all, they are the smartest, most stubborn dogs I have ever dealt with. The Boerboel, they come from South Africa, and they were a combination of various breeds of dogs that were not indigenous to South Africa. Nobody really knows the extent of what breeds are in there because detailed records were not kept. As far as some of the historians say, there was the Canaan dog in there and a Khoi dog. The Khoi is sort of related to what we know now as the Basenji. In 1928, the Bull Mastiff was introduced into the mix of the South African dog, as well as the Rhodesian Ridgeback. So we know that those are partly in there. And these dogs were developed to guard the diamond mines. They also participated in the Boer Wars as war dogs. And they were further developed into guarding the South Africans' families and their ranches. They had to be sturdy, healthy, courageous, intelligent, and they were strong enough to run free and survive the elements. As far as being a great pet, I believe their loyalty puts them on the top of the list for me. And also their willingness, if bred correctly, to guard their people and their property. They are not a dog for everyone because they are intelligent and they are a dominant breed. And again, going back to the breeding correctly, they would have a strong nature for guarding instinct, and they need supervision. They need a pack leader, and they need a strong pack leader. Not by having a heavy hand, but by mutual respect between the owner and the dog. They also need to have a leader who is consistent. They need clear boundaries. They need a lot of socialization to the elements, to things in the city, to people. It's all about consistency and a vast life experience for them. They do not do well left alone in the house or left alone in your yard. Outside to play, inside to be with their people. They are truly very much a Velcro dog and are happiest when they are with their family. So I have a 10-acre horse ranch, and there are no fences except for where the horses are. So the dogs pretty much have the run of the land, and they can visit neighbors, which hopefully they don't do often. They do have their boundaries, and they seem to inherently know how far they should go. I do have them in the house with me when I'm in the house. When I am outside, they are outside. Now there are times when I'm working with horses that they are in the outside kennel runs because some of them do not do well with my livestock and others do. So it's a matter of knowing what your animal is capable of, what his temperament is like, and managing them accordingly for success. With no fences and living out here in a rural area, I am confident most hours of the day that my Boerboels will be safe from the predators. We do have a resident mountain lion. Sometimes some come to visit. We have bobcats, coyotes, skunks, you name it, we have it. I do not worry about the bobcats. The Boerboels will completely defend themselves from them. And with one or more Boerboels, I am pretty confident that they can maintain their own if they come across several coyotes. I have my own little weird system as far as what I feel are the safe hours to keep them away from the mountain lions. And so far over the last 17, 18 years, it's worked. All of them have been at least 3 times through rattlesnake avoidance training. I feel that it's very important, especially living out here. We have rattlesnakes almost all year round in Southern California. So I have 5 Boerboels here currently. Some get along well with one another, some don't. Sometimes it's a trial and error. Both my males are very passive and play well with each other, and they can play with any of my females. I have one female that does not play well with anyone, and the other two, depending on if they're in season or going to come in season or just going out of their cycle, depends on who they get to play with. I separate the males when there's a female in season because that is the only time they show any dog aggression. They are outside with me, usually one at a time. That way they get personal care and I don't worry about them running off over hundreds of acres, because when they get together they decide that the best thing to do is go explore, and they can be gone for a good couple hours at a time. In the house, they take turns. One or two are out, the rest are crated, and the same management issue goes with that. There is always at least one free in the house, and they do great. They have boundaries, they know where they can go, where they can't go, and they are not destructive because they get enough exercise, and they have enough training to know what they can and can't do in the house. So crate training. Without crate training, I would not be able to have the number of Boerboels that I do. I'm a firm believer that crate training is a positive feature of having any dog. It doesn't matter the breed. The crate should be reviewed or viewed as their place of security, their home, a place that they go to that's a positive place, a positive place to sleep. I give mine a treat every time I ask them to kennel. They have blankets, they have toys. It's a nice cozy place for them. That allows me to manage more of them than without the crate training. When I go to shows, there is no issue on the showground of them being crated. They're not frightened, they feel safe, they're comfortable. And traveling, staying in the hotel, even in the vehicle, crate training is of the utmost importance for the safety of your dog. I crate my dogs when guests come over, because guests are not always welcome. So it's better for my dog and better for my guests. For my dogs, to help keep them healthy, I make sure they have adequate exercise, a good food. I feed raw once a week, but out of convenience, I choose a high-grade kibble. I am very weird about the kind of exercise they get. I make sure they get warmed up before they run out and run free on the property. When they are not showing, I take weight off because I feel that a thinner dog is a healthier dog. And I don't mean that they're emaciated, but they're just not carrying around so much bulk on those joints. Then when showtime comes, I'll put a little bit of bulk on them. But most important, I believe, is the healthy nutrition and a proper weight for their joints. So the Boerboels are prone to a lot of health disorders that many large breeds are prone to. They have hip dysplasia, elbow dysplasia, allergies. With the allergies come the little foot infections, ear infections. They can have entropion, ectropion. They can have cardiac problems, thyroid issues. So to be responsible and be more successful, or as successful as I can be with these guys, I'm a firm believer in health testing. There's a lot of DNA tests that can be run that might give you an idea for potential genetic issues. The most important ones in my mind would be either OFA or pan-hip, x-rays of hips and elbows, cardiac by echocardiogram, and thyroid testing. For me, those are the bare minimum so that I can do my best not to perpetuate a known problem in the breed. There are things that you can't control, and even if you have perfect dogs and breed them to perfect dogs, you can still have issues. It's just responsible ownership to do what you can do to help ensure the health of your dog. The Boerboel is really pretty easy to care for as far as grooming goes. They need their nails done on a regular basis like any other dog, and depending on the surface that they roam about, some more, some less. A simple brushing a couple times a week is great for their coat. They do shed a lot all year, more than you would think for such a short-haired dog. But again, brush a couple times a week. If you're in a warmer environment and you have the access, give them a bath a couple times, once, twice a month. I wouldn't do any more than that because it dries out the natural oils in their coat. They really don't need a whole lot of grooming. Wiping out their ears every week is important because they are so prone to yeast infections. You want to keep a good eye inside those ears so you know what's going on with the ears. Various activities. You can stimulate the Boerboel by hiding food outside, letting them hunt for it. You can do obedience training, which for the average homeowner is your best route because they need those boundaries. So working with them 5 or 10 minutes a day on here, down, sit, stay, that's a mental stimulation. They have things called snuffle rugs. Hide food in that and let the Boerboel search for his snacks because most of them like their food. So they can find their food in the snuffle rugs. Throw balls, just anything other than sitting and staring at you is a mental stimulation for them. For the Boerboel, the average owner should be fairly active. These guys need to be involved with their people, which means you have to be able to keep up with them. If they run, you need to be, I'm not saying you need to go jogging with them, I certainly don't, but you need to be in physically decent shape to let them run and to catch up with them, to call them, to have them come to you. There are folks that say they're good with children. I only have one that I trust with kids, but they weren't raised with them. So that could be a huge difference there. And also the bloodlines. Some are just not meant for children. The Boerboel is definitely not an apartment dog. I'm sure some have done it successfully, but I really don't know how. They need room to stretch their legs. A normal house, a big yard, somebody who takes them out for walks every day, and I would say at least, walking them 30, 40 minutes twice a day would be the bare minimum they need. Because they're a big dog and they do have energy and a prey drive, they need room to run. They have to have access to that somehow. And the average apartment isn't going to afford that. They are not good for dog parks because they are a dominant dog and they can be aggressive. It's setting them up to fail, setting them up for injury to them or people or other animals at the park. So they would do best in a large home with a large yard and somebody who can keep them active, mentally and physically. My house is completely an animal house. I don't have anything nice except my TV. I don't have knickknacks. Some of my Boerboels have tails, some do not. But from the sheer size of the Boerboel, when they get happy and they bounce and they spin, any knickknacks on coffee tables or whatnot are going to get knocked over. They do like to romp and play in the house. I recommend having sponges handy because they do slobber, no matter what anybody tells you, they do. So your walls would be decorated with little slobber art. The Boerboel is very much attached to its owner and its family. To leave one outside does the dog a disservice and its people as well. To allow them to come into the house has a greater propensity for bonding, for them to protect you, and for a happy dog. Why would you have a dog that you don't want to spend time with? Boerboels are truly people-oriented, and it's true they are a Velcro dog, and people joke about it that own them, but you really will never do anything alone again. They're with you in the bathroom, across the doorway of your bedroom, in the kitchen. They need their people, and to have a dog like that is really a disservice not to have them in the home with you. I leave my dogs in the crate up to about 8 hours. They're good with that. If they're outside in the kennel runs are 6 by 12, completely weatherproofed. They get fresh air and lots of sunshine. It doesn't get too hot. So they're good out there a lot longer. But when they're in the house, it's about up to 8 hours. I'm fortunate enough that my mom is here and she can let them out during the day. They sleep if I'm not home. They just relax. I trust some of them to be in the house loose indefinitely without destroying anything. But they do start to get a bit antsy, maybe about 6 hours. And I even have neighbors sometimes that come down and let the dogs out for a play if I can't get home. I feed my dogs twice a day, and I am very concerned about bloat. So I have what some people think are weird rules, but my dogs don't get to play 2 hours before they eat. They don't get to play for 2 hours after they eat. So it limits when they get fed and when they play, but so far I've been able to avoid any issues with bloat. There are a few drawbacks to owning Boerboels. Nothing obviously that has deterred me from it at all, but if you are not experienced with a dominant breed, then the Boerboel would not be for you, so that would be a huge drawback. And sometimes the sheer size of them and the power of them alone could be a drawback for some. But as far as loyalty, intelligence, you can't beat it. To summarize, they are dominant, they can be aggressive, they are loyal, they are fantastic family members and should be raised as such with consistency, socialization, and guidelines.